They say every lie leaves a trail, a breadcrumb that leads to truth if you're willing to follow it. For Sarah Clark, that trail began with a second phone hidden in her husband's desk. Sleek. Silent. Locked. A phone that didn't belong in a loyal man's home. But as Sarah would soon discover, the phone was only the first breadcrumb in a path that led to something much darker than an affair. Late one night, while Carol slept, Sarah pored over David's financial statements. Her eyes caught on repeated transfers, $15,000 here, $20,000 there, always to the same entity, Palmetto Investments, LLC. But Palmetto Investments wasn't real. On paper, it existed as a small consultancy in Atlanta, Georgia. When Sarah cross-checked the address, her heart sank. It was a vacant building with a for-lease sign out front. So where was the money going? Sarah pressed further, tracing the documents and finding a single name tied to the shell company, Daniel Mercer, a man David had never mentioned. Mercer wasn't a businessman. He had a history. A quick online search revealed a string of lawsuits, whispered rumors of embezzlement, and connections to questionable real estate schemes in Florida and Georgia. Why was her husband sending thousands of dollars to a man like this? When Sarah finally cracked into David's second phone with Carol's birthday as the passcode, the truth spilled out in a torrent of text messages and emails. There were exchanges between David and Mercer. Words like shipment, cover account, and partnership. References to meeting places, bars, motels, and a storage unit outside of North Charleston. And then, one message stopped her cold. Keep Sarah out of this. If she asks questions, shut her down. Her blood turned to ice. Sarah followed the clues. The storage unit mentioned in the texts was at Riverbend Storage near Ashley Phosphate Road. One evening, she drove past and saw David's black SUV parked there. He wasn't alone. A tall man in a leather jacket, Daniel Mercer, handed him a briefcase. What was inside, Sarah couldn't see. But she knew enough. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about crime. Emails revealed more characters. Linda Hayes, an accountant who worked at David's firm, quietly adjusting records to hide the missing funds. Rick Donovan, a local contractor whose name appeared on inflated invoices, funneled through Palmetto Investments. Pastor Mark Reynolds, yes, a man of the church, whose name was attached to a property deal funded with David's dirty money. Sarah realized this wasn't just David's deception. It was a network of corruption, a web spun so carefully it touched every corner of their community. The betrayal hollowed her out. Nights grew colder. Her once colorful paintings darkened into stormscapes. She stopped eating. Sleep was stolen by nightmares of briefcases, empty bank accounts, and shadowy men whispering in her ear. And through it all, Carol remained her only anchor. Sarah knew she couldn't collapse. She had to protect her daughter, even if it meant going to war against the man she once loved. Sarah confided in a friend, Claire Matthews, who urged her to take the evidence to the police. But Sarah hesitated. What if David found out? What if Mercer found out? Her hesitation proved costly. One night, David returned home late. His shirt was disheveled, his face pale. When Sarah confronted him with the printouts of the wire transfers and text messages, his mask cracked. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he snarled, slamming his fist against the table. "You've put us all in danger." Danger? The word echoed in her mind. She realized then, David wasn't just unfaithful. He was trapped in something larger, something he couldn't walk away from. The next week, tragedy struck. Claire Matthews, the friend Sarah had confided in, was found dead in her car on the outskirts of Charleston. The official story was carbon monoxide poisoning. But Sarah knew better. Claire knew too much. Fear wrapped itself around Sarah's life. The message was clear: if she kept digging, she, and Carol, could be next. Still, Sarah couldn't let go. She copied everything, the emails, the texts, the financial statements, and stored them in a safe deposit box under Carol's name. It was her insurance policy. But the deeper she looked, the more horrifying the truth became. David wasn't just funding fake businesses. He was laundering money for a group with ties that stretched far beyond Charleston. A syndicate using local businesses and church properties to funnel dirty money through clean channels. Her husband was a cog in a machine of corruption. And now, she was caught in its gears. The chilling realization came when she found an unsigned email draft on David's laptop. It wasn't addressed to Mercer. It was addressed to her. It read, "If anything happens, know that I never meant for you or Carol to be involved. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. Forgive me." It wasn't love. It wasn't even betrayal anymore. It was a confession of surrender. By the end, Sarah was no longer asking if David was guilty. She was asking how long she and Carol had before his sins swallowed them whole. Because the Clark family conspiracy wasn't just about a husband's betrayal. It was about a community rotten at its core, and a mother forced to choose between silence and survival. And Sarah knew, silence would only make her the next victim.